Ooh, One Piece chapter 1122. Just gonna say it now, just in case you might have some kids in the background or something. You might want to cover up their ears because I'm about to say something that they probably don't need to hear, but oh my god. When EMET unties that knot and unleashes all that hockey and it blows the five elders back away from the battlefield back to their home base location. My first reaction when I'm like, where'd that hockey come from? And then we find out that it's Joy Boy. My first reaction was literally, oh my God, that motherfucker is strong. Like, there just comes a time, right? Like, I know somebody's like, I was expecting like this brilliant breakdown. No, there just comes a time where you read some battles shown in, some adventures shown in, and like a character flexes, and you go, he's just built different. Like, that's my reaction. I'm like, this motherfucker is strong. Oh my, that's like a sample of his hockey. And he's got the Color Supreme King hockey too, which that's just like, we knew that people had that was built different, but it's like, nah, if that's just a small sample, I see why they need to come up with a weapon to take this guy out. Like, oh my God. And like, like Luffy has like the similar beating and everything of the heart, like when he's in Gear 5. So it just kind of stands to reason, just from a conventional storytelling perspective. Luffy's hockey is going to get that strong. Luffy's strength is going to get that strong because you don't just casually flex a level of power like that and it be a one-off. No, you're going to see it again. So it's just like Oda, in an indirect way, in my opinion, just kind of flex. Like, for as strong as Luffy is, fam, we about to get that power creep that we got in Naruto, where like in the war arc, characters just shot up several tiers. That Luffy's about to be something else, man. So let me back up because I could glaze that scene forever, man. Because man, when I tell you I stood up clapping when I got to that scene, I fucks with Oda. All right, so to rewind, you get more of the reaction from Vegapunk's speech, and you see it where some people like, we can't have this. A pirate cannot control the world. And some people are focusing on the fact that the world itself is sinking. Others are taking this as the One Piece is no longer a myth. We know that it is true. You see the reaction down there, Impel Down, where they're like, look, like, we don't need to let the pirates that are in captivity hear this. So we're clearly going to get a breakout of Impel Down at some point. And I like how, and the last reaction, I'm like, Koby versus Luffy is going to happen again. And sure enough, Koby hears that. And his immediate response is, Luffy, I have to. Then he starts thinking about how Luffy and him shared the talk about how Luffy wants to be king of the pirates. And now that he has an idea of what the One Piece is, a theory, if you will, he immediately goes, I have to stop your dream from being realized. And that is poetic writing when you just realize that Luffy is the one who made it possible for Koby to realize his dream, because Luffy, basically allowed Koby to disavow him in order to join the Marines. And so now it's kind of like we're seeing like a parallel with Garp and Roger with Luffy and Koby, which, I mean, that kind of makes sense. But just to see that, it's like, if it's that dangerous, if the One Piece and pursuing it is that dangerous, how in the hell is Garp not under hot water? Like, and what I mean by that is like, we know that like Garp has kind of skirted, but it's just like, is he kind of living off of the fact that he captured Roger? Because I look at that and I go, his son is leading the revolutionaries. So it's just like, you have to believe there's something else with Garp and with Dragon. Like, this chapter again just raises it, because if you're going to have that parallel with Roger and Koby, not Roger and Koby, but Roger and Garp with Luffy and Koby, Garp and Roger, they had a complicated relationship as well. there was different layers to it. And there was a big secret when it came to Ace's birth. So it's like something is coming. So I don't think we're done with Koby quite yet, and I don't think that what he's saying here, obviously it's not going to come to pass, but I don't think that it's going to play out exactly the way that Koby envisions. And I like how, we see Buggy, he's gaslighting his people, leading them astray, and you just see how you have Crocodile and you have Mihawk, and both of them are like, just sit down. And it just shows, like, again, he's the figurehead and basically the puppet for that organization. And you see Caribou asking to speak with Blackbeard. Blackbeard's like, if he don't tell me something I really want to know, we're gonna blow him away as well. And just as Vegapunk, and Oda is like the complete fuck you at this point, just as Vegapunk is about to tell us the real truth about Joy Boy, that's when EMET, the Iron Giant, gets completely destroyed. The transponder snail, it goes offline. The Straw Hats, which I forgot to mention in the last blind review, their ship has landed, and that was the whole reason that EMET was trying to, buy time or whatever. But basically, the Straw Hats are in process of trying to land, and EMET's taking all this damage. And as he starts speaking out to Luffy, he says, sorry, Joy Boy, deep down, I knew it wasn't really you, that you couldn't be alive. And that kind of ties into the flashback. And he thanks Luffy for giving him that feeling. And he says, I'm sorry I couldn't make you king. And it's like, king of what now? Because Joy Boy, like, King of the Pirates, something different. So it's like, there's another thing there. Because look at how Oda has it. He has the ... make you king ... So it's like Oda setting something else up, and even Luffy is like, king what? And that's when Luffy says, my name's Luffy, I'm gonna be king of the pirates. And that's when EMET releases that haki, he pulls that string, that thread knot, and as soon as that happened, the haki just starts shaking everything, and everyone is just passing out. Most of the people, they're passing out. And you can see it where when the elders are getting blown away and they're getting blown back into the original states, and then they're being sent back to their home base. And then you have Emu struggling for his breath, huffing and puffing, and goes, Joy Boy. It's one of those things like, could that haki have been felt all the way there? What's the connection with Emu and Joy Boy? There has to be a connection there for Emu to have felt that. And then obviously we see the Straw Hats, they reunited, everything seems all fun, etc. But Nami gives the update on Atlas and Edison, and then that's where we get the flashback, and we see EMET having the last conversation with Joy Boy, and Joy Boy says, remember, I'm going to give you part of my haki, and it's going to be locked inside your body. I don't want you to use it until long after I'm dead, when you need to protect someone precious to you, someone that you want to protect yourself even. And the way that it's framed is beautiful, because he says, like, even after I'm dead, I'll still be protecting you. And I like that. And, with Joy Boy, another interesting thing, looks like he's got a straw hat. Shanks had a straw hat. Luffy has a straw. There's something there with that. And as he gives him the information, it ties in very beautifully with the title of the chapter, The Time Is Now. Because you have EMET repeating, or rather Joy Boy saying, when the time is right, you'll save me. And we end off the chapter with EMET saying, I hope I don't get lonely. And he's going in and he's having his laugh, as probably looks like he's taking his dying breath. But I like that. Like everything in that comes full circle. And that's one of the joys that I kind of take in when I read manga, because the way chapters are set up, they're many small stories or short stories. And this just loops all the way back. And like the way that Oda does it, I kind of feel like from that perspective, he and Fujimoto kind of go tit for tat, in my opinion, based on how they kind of frame the chapters as mini short stories and whatever you have in the beginning of the chapter, they kind of some kind of way loop back to it, either from the title or the cover page or from the opening theme. They just circle back to it after using a funneling method and put a bow on it to bring it full circle. I mean, this was a masterclass of storytelling. I'm very curious about where this is going to head next. So, like, my chapter question to you guys is, when you saw how strong just a sliver of the greatest hockey that Joy Boy possessed was able to do, did you kind of think like me that there was another connection with Emo? And did you also think that this was a foreshadowing of how much stronger Luffy still has to become? Let me know down in the comment section below. But in the meantime, click here on the left to check out this new video from Everything One Piece Explained, or click here on the right to go through my journey from blind reacting to One Piece from the very beginning as a brand new reader without any spoilers, or rather without me being spoiled.